Hi! It's been a little while because I've been on holiday. So I'm back now and I really missed you all. I really missed doing these live streams. I've got a little bit of a croaky voice though, because you know, like when you get on the airplane and it's got that air conditioning thing, it's like my voice sounds a bit strange. So I do apologise in advance. This is my lovely mother. Hello.
Hi, I'm just finding
Claire.
Just finding Amy.
We're just going to sort the technology side of things out whilst we're waiting for people to join. So these are angelic activation sessions. Today we are going to be talking about, let me just remind myself, why do some people seem to attract spirit and angels? Are you a conduit? And what to do when it gets too much, when you're having visitations from spirit and the angels, and you're just like, you know what, I've actually had enough now and I just need to sleep. So we've got some stories for you, a couple of situations. If you do wish to watch this later on, it will be on our YouTube, on my YouTube channel, which is called Activation Amy, the same as this. That's what I am on all the social media. So if you're hopping on and you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, but I've not got time to watch, then I will be uploading it probably a bit later on or tomorrow. So first of all, let us know in the comments if you are watching. Leave us a little heart, a little emoji thing, because it does help the algorithm. And like I said, I have been off for a week now, which means that I've not really been doing much. So please leave us some love in the comments below, either on Facebook or on YouTube, so that it helps other people to see this. Let us know what you've been up to. So hi Deborah, can see you're there already. Mum, whilst I'm just sharing this, would you like to just say about what you've got going on at the moment, different ways people can work with you if they feel called? Hi Jeanette, how are you?
So I've just done a lovely Mind, Body and Spirit fair, which was amazing this weekend. It was absolutely fantastic. So I'm hoping to do a lot more, but at the moment I'm taking bookings for readings. I've got a couple of slots for next week. I teach tarot, so that's the Rider-Waite tarot cards, the original ones. So I teach them in workshops. So I have a workshop coming up on the 23rd and 4th of March is the weekend. It's 2 weekends away, I guess now. Yeah, 23rd, 24th of March. So I will be teaching mediumship and tarot. So this is over 1 weekend. It's a beginner's level. So if you feel that you're interested in that, would like to learn the cards and how to channel with mediumship. And I need to expel any myths that the cards are scary, because they are amazing.
No, they're not scary at all.
Plus I am doing angelic Reiki sessions as well, and I'm hoping to do another attunements in a couple of months. So I'll be putting dates forward soon. Okay, I think that's me, is it for now?
Is that you for now? Right, okay, yeah, I'm just still sharing. Okay, so exciting things that I've got coming up. I've still got my holiday head on, so I'm just getting back into everything. So at the minute, so Thursdays, manifest your spiritual business live streams are also here on my Activation Amy page. The Light Language Academy, that is going, I'm going to close the doors on that in a few days. So that will close on the 14th of March for the low price point. I don't even know when I'm going to open the doors again. It's probably going to be in a couple of months. At the moment it's £22.22. If you are a yoga teacher, healer, medium, or you know, you're aspiring whatever to work with people on a one-to-one basis or in spaces, and you want to really learn about light language and how to work with it with clients, then this is absolutely the space for you. When I do reopen it, it's going to be at a much higher rate, because the level of content is going to get better and better and better. And on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, I'm going to be teaching on how to use light language in a healing session. So that's super exciting. I am, as of next week, going to be starting a 6-week beginner light language activation course. That is going to be a group course. So that is for absolute beginners, because what I found with the academy space is that it's evolving into something where people can learn more about how to use light language with other people. So I am going to now start doing a beginner course. If you're interested in that, do let me know. Okay, that is it for now. There's going to be some exciting things coming up at some point later on in the month or next month. I am going to be launching a spiritual business manifestation course. That is going to be a higher investment. Again, you can get in touch with me about that. So there's lots of super exciting things. I went on holiday. I had loads of insights into like what to do next. So yeah, absolutely buzzing. So glad to see that you're good. Jeanette, anyone else that is watching, please just let us know. Yeah, so we'll dive into the content in a moment. So anyone that's just hopped on, like I said, I have got that plain husky voice from all the air conditioning. So I'm really like dried out, if you know what I mean. So if I sound weird, that is why. Okay, so last week's video, if you've not already watched it, was about, is psychic attack real? And we went really in depth with a lot of like the myths and things like that of like what people say about psychic attack and, you know, what it actually is. And we looked at it from many different perspectives, because in these sessions, we're not just here to like talk about the angels and all of that, because we are here to talk about that, but what we're here to talk about is we both have quite a varied experience of working with clients in numerous different ways. So my mum is a medium and an angelic healer. I am a coach, okay, and also I do light language and quantum hypnosis sessions. So we've got like a vast, you know, I can't even think of my words at the minute, like a vast experience of working with many different people in many different situations. So last week we really broke down a lot of the things that people say about psychic attack. And it's on my YouTube, Activation Amy. Hi Susan, good to see you. So it is on there if you want to have a look at that. If you're someone that feels like you are struggling with psychic attack or anything like that, or someone has said to you, like a healer or someone like that, that you've got an attachment or an entity and you're really struggling with that, please, please, please watch that video, because it's going to help you a lot to really understand about what it is and how to actually deal with psychic attack. And I do that because it's not necessarily what you actually think it is or what you've been told that it is. And obviously we're only speaking from our perspective, but I work with a lot of different types of practitioners as well, like very, very experienced practitioners. So I'm not coming at this from like my own perspective. I'm coming at this from many, many different perspectives, right?
Experience is where we're both coming from.
And we just always want you to know that you have the power in every single given situation, right? And this is what we've seen in a lot of instances of working with people doing what we do, is that there's a sense of disempowerment in spirituality, and it's just not, it's not the case. Nobody has control of your life. Your angels do not have control of your life. Your guides do not have control of your life. It is a creation, okay, of your own, right? And it's much more like multidimensional than that. But you know, the thing that keeps coming up time and time again, and it comes up in my sessions all the time, is that the guides are not here to live your life for you. The angels cannot live your life for you. You are here to live your life. You are here to have experience. You are here to make choices, to make mistakes, and they will only guide you to what they can see that you want and desire in any given moment, and to what is going to give you the best lesson for where you're at. So sometimes these lessons can feel like they're extremely harsh, but when you look at it in this way, that you're always being guided, Okay, it's not, I don't see it as being tested. I see it as you're given opportunities, and the angels and guides are going to help you to align with the highest available opportunity for you, for where your frequency is at in any given moment. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is, why do some people seem to attract spirit and angels? Are you a conduit? And what to do when it gets too much, okay? Because I had a really, really good comment on my YouTube, okay? And it was about from somebody that, like, feels that they can't shut down, that they're being, like, let's say, hounded by angels and spirit, and it's doing the head in and they don't know what to do. So it's a little bit of a different conversation than, like, you know, energetic protection. But it's something that my mum, you know, you've got probably had more experience of this, because my mum deals with spirit, like medium, like you deal with that more than me, don't you? So do you want to?
I do, yeah. So I'm just going to start just by going back to what it is like really to have a spiritual awakening. So these can happen at any time in your life, but it's very common after trauma. Because after we've had any kind of trauma, we tend to go become inward. And also because something happens, I feel that something happens to our aura, where we suddenly start to, because everybody has a light within. If you are born with a mission, is the only way I can pronounce it, is the way to say it. If you have agreed to do something spiritually, then yes, spirits will come and hound you if you like. But this can happen accidentally as well. Like I said, through trauma, that something happens to your aura where your light can get through and you suddenly become a conduit. So there are some misconceptions that people often, I'm going to say what I saw during this period, I know Amy's had the same, is spirits started to appear to me and I started to hear their voices. So it was quite a scary time, because again, misconceptions about spirits being evil and not understanding what was happening. But one of the ways they do come as well is because there's such a thing as mental mediumship, which is where we nearly always come from. When we're doing mediumship, we call it mental mediumship, because it's the images that are being downloaded into our mind and into our clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience. We're receiving these messages. So we can receive faces, places, dates, times, information, all kinds of things are downloaded. So one thing, if you're going to bed at night, it tends to be more when you're in that state, when you're tired, and a lot of the time it's at night time because you're not doing anything else. And spirit think, oh, we're going to have a field day here, now we've got it, and all of a sudden you become aware that there's flashes of faces, just faces, one after the other, after the other, after the other. I've had this since childhood, and I believed that it was some form of, maybe I'd seen the people during the day, or just like I really had trouble sleeping for forever. I can't remember fully being able to go to bed and sleep, because I would be literally seeing all these faces and beings. So during the psychic awakening, a spiritual awakening, I'm going to call it, not a psychic awakening, this will start happening. Not with everybody, but if you have mediumistic tendencies and your path is some kind of spiritual work, then it will start happening more and more and more. Now, for quite a number of years, it was happening to me night after night after night, and I would toss and turn and cry in the sleep and try and blank it out, and until in the end I literally used to watch television till I fell asleep to try and block it, which is very common actually, people do that, to try and block the messages. But I need to just say that I think Amy read the message out to me from the lady last week. So there's a misconception here going on that these spirits that are coming are earth-bound. It's not so. I'll tell you exactly what's going on as time passes. These are not earth-bound spirits. They are, from the things that I've experienced, I now understand that these spirits, even though they came before I was doing any mediumship, have come to me in later years. The same spirits have come to me. So I understand now that spirit don't really have a great concept of time. So, but they've come with different people later on when I've been doing readings. They're their family members, and have literally come because they can. They can walk in and out of the bedroom just looking, just having a look, because your light, your conduit, your light shining brightly, and it's, oh, let's go and have a poke, a nosy poke, my friend calls it. And they'll come in and they'll think, oh, you know, somehow she's listening to me, even though you're going, no, I've literally had the pillow over my ears and eyes and gone tossing to, go away, go away.
Shut up.
There's an amazing film, by the way, with Ricky Gervais. I cannot ever think what it's called, but if you can find it, a Ricky Gervais film, where it's just so lifelike, and says it. These spirits were literally following him round from morning till night. He'd had a near-death experience, and it had awakened all his psychic abilities. Well, it's just like that. Your psychic abilities have suddenly awoken, and you are suddenly a little light of interest. So I'm going to just change a minute and talk about your spirit guides and your higher self. So before you came, if your mission was to do spiritual work and healing, you've agreed to do this with your guides. So your guides are instrumental in you having a spiritual awakening, and your higher self is as well. So they will make absolutely sure that you are paying attention. So they will drop in, especially your guardian angel is with you every second of your life, and it's the same guardian angel that's been with you every lifetime and always will. But your guide will come and go.
Right.
So there are different guides, but your guide does not follow you around from morning till night. Your guide comes down for you, drops in and out, will help you on your spiritual path, and will come and go, and your guide will test you. And one way that your guide tests you, and your higher self, believe it or not, is doing the same thing, is by calling your name. And the angels do this as well, but your guide will come in, and for 90, everybody has a guide assigned, by the way, but they come in and out of your life. If you are never going to respond, they don't bother coming back that often, because why should they? So this is why it's important to acknowledge your guides and your guides especially. It's important to acknowledge them. Because if you never acknowledge them, well, they aren't going to hang around, basically. They'll come and test you. If you suddenly sit up and say, oh, where did that voice come from? And you turn around, I just heard a voice, but there's nobody there. They know that you've responded. So it's a good idea to say, oh, somebody's just called my name. And then it's like, aha, we'll come back and we'll do a little bit more. So then, then they may just say, look, we'll let the spirits in, and they'll come in and they'll badge you, because, in all of this, they want to know, can you do it? First and foremost, if you've agreed to do it, they'll make sure that you're going to do it. But they'll be testing you in different ways. If you never respond, I believe everybody's tested. If you never respond, then the spirits will move on. But if your light is out there and you've become a conduit, they know, and they'll come in. If you've not agreed to do any work and you really hate this and don't want it, you can shut this down. You can. You can. It's not that easy, but you can ask the angels and put protection around you and just say, look, I am in charge, just go away. But for many of us, when these things start happening, even though it might be a scary time, we know inside something is happening. And it is a gift. Be aware that this is a very special gift. It really is. So I'm going to just give you two experiences now, which might help you to understand what's happening. So the first one is a vision that I've had. This is before I started to work as a medium. This was when I was going through all of these experiences. So I had a very, very clear vision one at night. I wasn't asleep. I was in that state where you feel like you're floating, you're sort of halfway between. This was very real. It was a very real experience. and I found myself floating, and I ended up in a house, in a front room. And then I realised it was a doctor's surgery, and there was lots of people sitting with me, all waiting to go in. And it's quite old-fashioned, because it had, like, in the old-fashioned, I think they're 30s houses. You know, remember the serving hatches? I don't know if you've ever seen them, like a serving hatch into the kitchen.
Yeah.
In the old-fashioned, in the doctor's surgery, these were left. The you know, the receptionist was usually in the old kitchen, out into the living room. So, you know, I was getting impatient, wondering when I was going to be seen. And then all of a sudden the hatch opened, and a voice came from the hatch. They called my name. Claire, can you... It was a receptionist voice. Claire, can you come to the reception, please? So I walked over to reception, and there was a being emanating light. I thought, oh, that's a strange receptionist. And this receptionist said to me, I believe now it was an angel, said to me, you're not doing your work. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, look behind. So she moved to one side, and I looked into, you know, beyond the serving hatch and into the room. And there was rows and rows and rows of benches with people, which were spirits, sat in these rows, loads of them. But the more I looked, the longer, you know, the further back it went, the further back it went, the further back it went, till eventually it appeared like thousands of spirits all sat in rows waiting. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness. I did wonder, you know, at the time I just thought, oh wow, and then had this, you know, and then the angel appeared back again and said, you need to start. And then I kind of came to myself and thought, oh my gosh, you know, words to that effect, I'm being polite here, what on earth does this mean? So I figured it out, you know, where do I start? And I asked the guy, how come these spirits were sat waiting, previously chosen? Or had I been previously chosen? Or was this just the way that I was being shown that there was all these spirits waiting? So I carried this question round for a few years. I did begin my work not long back, and I'll just tell you about this other experience, which was only about 6 months ago. And this was one morning I got up out of the bed, and I was busy making my bed, and I heard a very audible voice in my ear on the outside, not mental mediumship, but on the outside, which said, do you do readings? So I sort of jumped and looked around and thought, oh, because I'm so used to spirit now, I don't feel any fear. I just thought, where are you? What do you want? But I thought, this is strange. I can't answer this. I thought, this is very odd. Why are spirit asking me, do I do readings? I thought, because this is what the public asks me. This is what people ask me, not what spirit asks. So I went straight to my guide and I said, hey, what's going on here? Why are spirit asking me that question? And they answered, well, did you not realise that spirits will find a medium? And then I said, oh, right, that's not how I thought it was. And they said, well, yes, you know, they find the conduits, and they find the medium. They will watch you, see how good you are. Or
can you explain what a conduit is for people that don't fully understand it?
A conduit is somebody who can receive energy, basically, who's like a bridge. The energy is downloaded to you, and you are literally, a conduit is I don't know how to explain it, like electricity, really. It's energy. So you have the ability to channel energy. You can visualise it as a light going up to the spirit world, up to heaven. And you have this going on where spirit can somehow get in. You are literally drawn in by your energy is emanating energy. Your body or spirit is emanating energy, which can be seen from the outside. That's the only way I can, so they understand that, okay, this one's open. They can see it, this one's open, let's explore. So having asked my, is that a good explanation?
Yeah, it's a really good explanation, yeah.
So having asked my guide, how does this work? They said, yes, the spirit, that, you know, spirits will find find a medium. So I instantly asked, well, why? And they said, well, you know, quite often when somebody comes to you for a reading, they think that they've initiated it, but they haven't initiated it. Spirit have initiated it and then put it into their minds, because they've gone over, they've had a nosy poke around the person's life, their loved one, and thought, they need to hear from me, I'm desperate to talk to them, I need to send them a message, I want a medium. So then I said to my guide, well, what's your role in this? And he said, oh, well, we take bookings. So I thought, that's, how strange is that? And then we become the initiate, the being who can set it up, but help with the conduit, help with the channel inside. So they become the bridge between heaven and earth, if you like, so that to help. But everything I have learned over the years, that everything in spirit world is ordered. That, and in the angelic kingdom there is order there. So I was just showing the visualization, and all I could see was my guide busy, you know, with a big row of spirit behind him, taking bookings for me in advance, which actually made perfect sense of the vision in the doctor's surgery. I thought, oh, it all makes sense now. So you think you've got, you know, I think I'll go for a reading, or I'll go for a sitting, when it isn't you at all. It's already initiated.
Spirit putting it
Spirit are putting it in your head in the first
and
place.
Like they have arranged it with that medium.
They've arranged it.
So that like you feel the connection with that medium. So you think that you're doing it, and obviously there's a part of you that must want it in order to for that to happen. But it's like it's so much more connected than what we actually think that it is.
That's right. So all these visitations prior to me doing mediumship, many of those spirits have appeared to me since, and it's only made sense and started to get in order, and I started to have a better time, because, you know, them appearing everywhere, I was not in charge, because as Amy said at the beginning, we are in charge, but they needed to learn that. I'm not, let's just jump in whenever we can. That's not what it's about. But it's only when I began to channel, and I only actually got any peace when my guide said to me, why don't you listen to them? And it's only when I decided to get rid of the fear, I brought in the angels, and I homed in, and I will tell you one or two of the first experiences I had. One of them was a Scottish gentleman who'd passed, he was quite elderly. He'd passed, and, you know, I sort of did this with not fear, just sort of, okay, let's just go with it and see what happens. And I said, well, what do you want? Because I thought, well, how do you even speak to spirit? I just said, hi, you know, what can I do for you? And he said, oh, I just want to show you something. So he said, I want to show you how I passed. So my first thought was, oh no, please God, no. But he said, just relax and I'll show you. And the next thing I know, I could see him falling down into his dinner, basically, at the dinner table. He fell into his dinner. And then he started absolutely rolling with laughter. And he said, when they picked me up, my face was covered in tatties and neebs and graver. I didn't even know what a neeb was. I had to go and Google it to find out what it was. Some kind of turnip. But he was rolling. And you know what? I started laughing with him. The image was so... It was very entertaining. And then I just said, oh, well, are you okay? And he said, yes, I'm okay. And then he says, well, I'm going now. And off he went.
He just wanted to show you that, didn't he?
I thought, but that was only once. So when I started to listen to them, and they were showing me all sorts of things, I realised that actually these were all benign. And, you know, they are not earthbound spirits at all. These are spirits who have passed, who just come and visit. And that's exactly what spirits can do. They come and they can visit. So it isn't anything to be afraid of. But if it's unwanted, then obviously you need to learn how to put protection around yourself, how to dismiss it. But if you are, these are all mediumistic tendencies. And it does mean that, you know, you have a gift. It might be that the gift is for healing. It might not be that you want to do mediumship, but, you know, like Amy has had all this, but does other things. But she channels with spirit and she channels with her guides and has that ability. And it only started to go away for me. And I can still have the odd bad night. But I've learned to live in it and just say, hang on, what do you want? And then just say, angels, just clear the room. I've had enough. Tell them to come back and I'll meditate tomorrow. You know? I've learned how to turn it on and off so that I'm not tormented anymore. Because ultimately, once we start channeling and talking to our guides, they will see that it is in an orderly fashion. But they will test you every now and then. They will test. You will be tested. But as always, if it's unwanted, I'll say, not now. Go away. You know, just come back when you're ready, when we're both ready. I'm tired, and just go away, please. And for the most part, they do.
What I'm just thinking, though, is, like, because the person that wrote the comment, she was sort of saying that, like, you know, they weren't, it wasn't working what she was doing. Like, she was trying to send them towards a light, but there was, like, some fear there. But the thing is, it's like, the internet's frozen, so hopefully this will still record. It's not like you're not responsible, so don't take like the responsibility on of like feeling like you have to send them towards the light. Like, they're just kind of saying hello, and you know, whatever happens, they're gonna find a way to communicate with their family one way or another, right? So don't, like, if this is happening to you, because I think this is what this person is doing, sort of feeling into it and reading between the lines, is that they're taking responsibility on for like what's going on with the spirits, and then trying to send them back to somewhere, and then they're going for Reiki to try and clear their energy. And it's kind of not how it works, because what's actually happening is they're opening up psychically, spirit are going, hi, and that's what's happening continuously.
Let's put that into context then, is these spirits are already in the light.
Yeah.
They've already passed, they've gone to spirit, and all they're doing is they want you to help them to give a message to their loved ones. And that's it. They don't need to be sent back into the light, because they have already passed, they're already in spirit, they're already with their angels, they're already in the light. This is I would say 99% of them.
Can I just say something though, just with what you're saying there though? Like, because you've just said that the spirits want help, okay, but then from like an earth human perspective, then from this person's perspective, I don't want them to then think that, oh my God, I've got to help, I've got to help, I've got to help.
No.
So this is what I mean, you've got to look after yourself and your needs first, right? And be okay with like saying no, because there's such a thing as energetic boundaries, as with humans, as with spirit and the angels and all of the other ones, where you're like, actually no, I need to sleep now, I need time for me. What would you say about that?
Absolutely right. You know, but all I know is that it all fell into place for me when I started to meditate and find time for spirit that isn't at bedtime.
Yeah, very true.
Now I can turn it on and off, you know, and I have a perfectly normal life. You know, I can go to bed and sleep. If they do come, I can tell them, not now. You just say, not now. And the angels will help me to disperse them. But they can badger and badger, especially if you've agreed to this, because actually the guides might allow them to do that. But ultimately, if you don't want to do it,
you don't have to.
You don't have to do any of it.
Can I just speak from my perspective as well of this? Because I was going through, me and my mum were going through this at a very similar time, and you know, I was doing like mediumship development for like about 18 months, like quite intensely. And I actually made the choice that it wasn't for me, for various reasons. Because I didn't enjoy it, right? And my mum really enjoys it. Now, during that time, whilst I was opening up my mediumship abilities, we were going through the same experience of having like face after face after face after face, like psychic, you know, intuitive messages, even more than like my whole life and stuff like that. And it was almost like because I was developing and because I was energetically saying yes to spirit, they were then coming in and going, hi, we'd like to work with you. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of like that because I was energetically saying yes to it. And then when I decided, actually, I don't want to work with human spirits as such, that then closed the door and I was like, this isn't for me, right? Now, though, like I work with the angelics, the galactics, and many, many other different ones. And it's primarily them. Because I've said yes to that frequency, like they know that the door is open and that they can come in and communicate with me, and that's what I actually get now. I get more like galactic, let's say extraterrestrial, whatever you want to call it, multi-dimensional beings as I'm falling to sleep, where I actually see them. And but the thing is, again on the back of what my mum was saying, is like the more that I've developed this, the more okay with it I've kind of become in my energy, and the more I have accepted it, it doesn't actually bother me. Like I'll be lying in bed and I'll be like on my way to sleep and I'll be like, oh hi, this one and that one, and then different community. Do you know what I mean? It's actually quite fun. Yeah. Like I actually quite enjoy it.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas before it was like, oh my God, shut up. Do you know what I mean? I'd have like fear around it. So I think it's not so much about what's happening, but I think it's more around the actual fear of what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I've had, I can only, most recently is an elderly lady visiting me, and I could have just said no, but this was such a beautiful lady, and she just came in the room, introduced herself, and I just said, hi, are you okay? Is there anything I can do? And she started to tell me that she was worried about her daughter. So I don't feel like this, I've re-met this lady again in a reading. So I just said, right, okay, I'll keep that in mind. I hope that because spirit can help them as well. I'll just say, right, I'll say a few prayers. And she was so lovely. And I just say, okay, I could just call her sweetie.
Yeah.
All right, sweetie, thanks for coming to see me. I'll do what I can. And then she left,
Do you think that spirit, in the way that humans sometimes just want to be heard and they don't need you to do anything, they just want to be heard, do you think that spirit also just wants someone to hear them sometimes? Do you think there's any element of that?
I feel that spirit can just, especially if you are open, I can just say that sometimes they're just being nosy. They really are, because they do have the ability to come and go, so they could be attracted to the light and they just want to say things. But the spirits aren't, but that come to me are, because we are spirits, we have to remember also that you're spirit.
Yeah, true.
So we're actually connecting on a one-to-one. But for the most part, these are not spirits in distress at all. These spirits have crossed over fully, and just sometimes they just want to chat because they were passing and they were, they just want to chat, as Amy says. It's not always to do with, I don't think I've ever come across, well, maybe one or two, but there's really not many that are in distress. They usually just try and want to pass the message on to their loved ones, but not because they're in distress, but because they can see that their families are in distress. So, and for the most part, and I do still feel that the guys will bring them in. It's like they could be instrumental in just go and have a chat, see if she's open. Let's see if she's open for a chat. Because they're learning also how to, if you are a medium, that your guys have to learn how to best communicate with you. It is a big learning process, because we're all individuals and they need to see how receptive you are and how they can help you to open up a little bit more. So all these things are going on, but I actually love spirit, and I think they come in because they feel that love. Just come in to chat. So and I do feel, I know when I do readings that the things that I'm shown, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I could chat for ages and ages, to be honest.
We can know about all these subjects, can't we?
I can chat about all the amazing things that spirit have shown me. So I liken it to a cat, or especially a cat more so than a dog. I guess dogs do the same. As they get up in the morning, they go out, they have a little wander around the garden, do what they've got to do, come back in, have a bit of a food, and then they think a light bulb goes on in their head. What shall I do next? I know, I'll do a bit of window gazing. So they sit at the window and they're just thoroughly watching the world go by and having a nosy out the window. I think spirits are the same. It's like, we've got this to do, that to do. I think I'll go and see what Auntie Nellie's doing.
What such and such is doing, yeah.
I'm convinced of it. More so when it's around somebody's anniversary, I think they can feel the emotions around that. Or they just want you to know they've made it, they're okay, they're with Uncle Fred, Mum and Dad. You know, they want you to know that they're all together and they're okay. But they themselves do not appear to be, from what I've seen, are not really in any distress.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously there definitely are situations like that, because, you know, we've seen situations like that as well. But in the majority of instances when these things happen at night, it's more like they're just making contact, which I think is, you know, what we were kind of getting at. So
yeah, and to be honest, this is going to happen more and more and more, because, to be fair, the world is beginning to wake up. Vibrations are changing and the world is beginning to wake up. So this is going to happen more and more and more, and we need not be afraid of it.
Right, what would you say to Caroline then? So Caroline's saying, my spirits ask me for help, which they do. She wants to know, how can I help them?
I need to know really, is she working as a practitioner? Is she doing any work to help? Or
So yeah, she joined like quite late on in the thing, so it might be worth you going back and just watching what we had to, because we were sort of speaking about it a little bit earlier on, weren't we, as to like what, like, you know, as to why and like the reason why they do it. And, you know, a lot of the time it's because the person, and as with myself, is on some level meant to develop as a medium. Not saying that's the case in every situation, but it's that you have, so she's a medium, right? Okay, so it's like, well, maybe like,
they can ask for help if they've crossed over with unfinished work, or they've crossed over in terrible circumstances. They can ask for help, yes. And then all we can do is pray for them, send them angelic help, or if they want to set up a reading, yes.
Yeah, I think it might be worth you going back and watching what we were saying earlier, because it'll cover.
Medium, she's doing the work.
Yeah, it'll cover what we were talking about before, Caroline. So I just want to make sure that we've covered something as well, which is what to do when it gets too much, when, like, you know, you're a medium or whatever, a healer, and, you know, do you want to just talk about what happened when you've done the Mind Body Spirit event? Like, do you want to just say about what you've experienced the past few days?
Yeah, we're channeling for 2 solid days, and, you know, each reading that I did, I guess I'm just so connected. Each reading for me was amazing. I felt they were amazing. I felt every single one I did, the messages were perfect. But having done that for 2 whole days, one after the other, coming home absolutely exhausted. And then sitting down, you know, I did ask the angels to, you know, to help me to clear. I actually find when Amy clears me, it's better, because I don't know whether I'm just too drained, but when Amy does it, it's better. But obviously I couldn't quite get rid of the energy, because they were still coming at me. I just could not, for anything, seem to turn it off. And it was okay for a while, but, you know, I'd had enough. I just needed to sleep. So I went to bed, and I'm they're still all over me, just badgering me. And so I just closed my eyes. I asked the angels, can you make this stop? But I realised after a few, when I started to try and get to sleep, that my body was jerking all over the place. My arms suddenly shot in the air. I was jumping like this, because the energy had gone in and needed to come out. So
right, yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
This is why this is a very physical thing as well. This energy is tangible. It's physical. So I was jerking all over the place. It went on for quite a number of hours. It really did. So I was getting quite exhausted. But I knew the energy had to come out. But I did ask the angels to, and I did fall asleep eventually when I brought in the angels and said, please, Archangel Michael, please do not allow any more spirits in this room now. You know, just clear this bedroom and stop them coming in. I did fall asleep. But I do think that sometimes it's part and parcel of being a medium, and it's something I have to accept. For me now, it's unusual. It's only when I've done something like that continually for 2 days that it happens with me.
I feel that what happens is that like your frequency raises that high because you're constantly dealing in that environment. When you're in an MBS, there's energy flying about everywhere.
It's not just what you're doing.
Even when you do your own protection and you're raising your frequency and all that, it's like, and when you've got person after person after person after person, it's constantly like, you're interacting with so many different energies. You're not having a break. You're not like, having chance to like. So with me, when I have a session, I'm like, cutting off the last one, closing down, grounding, doing any work that I need to do, preparing for the next one, right? So when you're at a mind, body, spirit, it's like next one, next one, next one, next one, next one, and it's adrenaline. So your energetic nervous system as well is completely frazzled. So these MBS fairs,
you're sat in a room with other mediums who are doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So the channeling was through the roof, and other practitioners doing healings, and then they were everywhere. So the energy, I always think from the outside it must be buzzing, because it just, so I did have a hard time switching off. I'm fine now, but it did mean the next day I had to do absolutely nothing to get my energy back. So it's about self-care as well.
Right, and I just want to say that every person is different, right? So we are only speaking from our personal experience. I know mediums that don't have, they can just do back to back reading, and that's how their energy works, right? And they are totally fine with that, and yes, you could argue, right, well, they're in a higher frequency, whatever, but I don't believe that's the case.
No.
What I have seen is people's energy works differently. We're meant to do different things, and it's okay for one person to be okay with back-to-back readings and for it to be a buzz for them and for it to be easy for them, and another person might connect in a different way where they need time and space to do to do different things, right? So you're going to have to learn your own energy, how your own energy works, and the only way that you can do that is by actually doing it.
You see, if I was doing tarot card readings, I still think it'd be slightly different, but what I was doing was I was doing a sitting with every single person, so I was deliberately bringing in spirit. What you do when you're doing a tarot card reading, don't get me wrong, but it's also a lot of more psychic abilities with that as well, whereas I was concentrating more on bringing spirit forward, because being an angel medium, I feel that this is what needs healing the most when people come to me. So it's more about sitting after sitting after sitting, and then a small tarot reading.
But what would you say to somebody, just to cover the point that we've initially said about what to do for a person that's like in bed at night, for the person that was asking this question, what to do when it gets too much? What would you recommend from your own experience? What would you say in a few sentences? Like,
I would say to meditate during the day, and make a point of speaking to spirit. If you want to work with spirit, make a point of speaking to them. But also, it would do no harm to meditate anyway during the day, and to tell your angels, to let them know, to help you to put a stop to it. Like I said, spirit can be persistent, and it did only stop for me when I began to channel.
Right, when you began to do the work.
Yeah. And again, I am going to say, I can't remember what this film was called, but if you watch this Ricky Gervais film, everything started to make sense for him when he began to interact with them. And then he began to have a life full of joy on his terms. And then they'd come and go, as he called them in. And that's what it's like with me. So it needs to be, you need to learn really to speak to your guides, speak to your angels, be clear about what you do want. But remember that it is a gift. It might seem like a curse at times when you can't sleep and these are going on. It isn't a curse, it is a gift.
It's all your perspective on how you actually look at it as well. If you're looking at it from a fearful, annoyed place, it's like you perpetuating that, but at the same time it is okay to have definite boundaries. And I'll just tell you a couple of like things that did work for me, but whatever, I don't really have to do them anymore. But in the beginning, when I was dealing with spirit, right, in particular like humans spirit, so to speak, is that like I would just see these massive big steel doors. I'd see spirit on one side of it, I'd see an angel, and I'd see the big steel doors closing, and I'd be like, no thank you, not now, right? So closed. Yes,
that's perfect, because when I've had visions and spirit have appeared, there has always been some kind of a barrier. When I've gone and spoken to some spirits that I know in heaven, in the spirit world, they've always been sat opposite a table. When my dad came through last time, he was behind a bar, because he works behind a bar. The bar is the barrier. Yeah. It can only go so far.
Right.
The vision that I spoke about at the beginning in the doctor's surgery, where she deliberately opened the hatch.
Right.
So one thing, as Amy said, we can actually visualise this hatch coming down, and we can visualise our third eye closing.
Yeah,
there's many.
The third eye closing, and opening, and you can have an open for business sign. You can have a close. Do you know what I mean? Like a shop sign, open when you want to talk to them, close when you don't want to talk to them. There's many different things. There's many different like techniques like that you can work with. Yeah. But I'd say the biggest one is probably like how you're actually looking at it as well, and also the belief again. Like it always comes back to this: if you're believing right that like spirit have got more power over you than they have.
Ghost Town, I think that is what it's called.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw it.
No.
Yeah, it's worth watching. It's very entertaining. But I felt like they have it so right. So what was I going to say, Amy?
Yeah, so like, you know, like it comes back to what I was saying at the start. So like changing the way that you perceive this situation. So definitely not having fear around it, and just like being like, okay, hi, I'm going bed now, night, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that, right? It's like you've got to learn to get really clear in, you know, in your confidence with them and saying no, as in with humans. If you've got a problem with boundaries in your actual human life, you're probably going to have a problem with boundaries with spirit, right, as well. So you've got to learn to be okay with saying no.
And, you know, take it to your guide and be firm with the guide and say, look, I've had enough. Will you please get rid of this? Not now. I've done that. Not now. You'll bring them tomorrow. But it's different now with me because I enjoy it when spirits come. Yeah. I enjoy the conversation. I'm kind of like, oh, what we're going to be shown. You know, that kind of a thing. What's going on?
Yeah, definitely.
So, so the healing element, we have a chat, and, you know, I always say, it's interesting what they show me. They show me all kinds of things. But I enjoy that aspect. But not, you know, for like three hours after an MBS fair, and I can't shut it down. But I did manage in the end. It's just, for me, it's part and parcel of it. It was just that energy needed to come out. When I think about it, the best thing I should have done really is just listen to a guided meditation, so that I was concentrating only on the words from the guided meditation. That would have helped, because the energy would have come out that way.
For me, what also works is you need to like move your body, because that moves the energy, right? That moves the actual energy through, right? Because you have all this going on, right? Because you that high frequency, your body's like catching up, and it's going and it's releasing it, and you get them energy spasms.
I've just had an interesting question from Caroline there. So she's asking me, is clairvoyance my strongest gift, really? I used to think it was until I started doing mediumship. And now I understand that actually the clairvoyance is amazing, but clairaudience is my strongest gift, because I can actually hear spirit now. And it was a while before it was more the clairvoyance. But now that I can hear spirit, their messages are much clearer. So before, when they used to come, I might describe them, or I'd get a feeling of a personality. But now when they're actually talking to me and I can hear their voice, when it first started off, the clairaudience, it would often appear as my voice. So it was like I knowing what they were going to say, and I'd repeat it. But now I can hear their accents, I can hear what they're saying, the way they say it, and their messages are so much clearer. So actually, I feel the clairaudience has been developed more so than the clairvoyance. So I'll hear them, and then eventually their images will begin to open up. But definitely, and especially I think hearing that voice the other day proves it as well, is, do you do readings? And the first time any of this started happening, it was a voice asking my name. So I feel like my clairaudience is probably stronger than the clairvoyance, but they're both pretty strong. But the clairaudience I found is the most powerful now, because that's the one that can bring the messages.
Right.
In fact, I did a reading on Saturday. I cannot go into any details other than I had this lady, I think she said she was 78. I brought in her husband, and he very clearly gave her a message and used the word, she called her Chuck. And I repeated it in the same accent, like, oh, that's all right then, Chuck.
Yeah.
And she said, oh my God, she said, he did used to call me Chuck. That's exactly what he would say. And I was able to say, well, I can now hear what he says, so I just repeat it. So I'm finding the clairaudience is brilliant.
Okay, right, I'm going to wrap it up there then, because it's been like nearly an hour.
Oh gosh, I don't know where the time goes.
Don't know how it happens. Okay, so if you are, interested in anything we've been talking about today, all these previous live streams are on my YouTube channel. Please do subscribe to that. If you feel called to work with my mum, she does mediumship development, or if you feel called to book a reading with her, obviously reach out to her.
And I do have a weekend course, 23rd and 24th of March. It's not that long off. There's a couple of spaces still left on that if anybody feels that they want to learn how to channel and to read the original Rider-Waite cards.
Nice.
But I can do it online as well. That's the other side I forgot to say. I am doing these online in your own convenient time.
You're welcome, Deborah. So I'm going to be doing the Light Language Training Academy on the low price for another couple of days up until the 14th. So that is a space for mediums, healers, space holders that wish to learn how to use light language and to work with it. Ongoing, okay. It's £22.22. It's a subscription at the moment. It's going to be going up next time I open the doors. That's going to be closing on the 14th of March. So if you want to be a part of that, obviously you can let me know. I am after that going to be launching a new light language course, which is light language activation for beginners, which will be a group course, a 6-week course. I'm going to be posting about that very soon. If you're interested in that, do let me know. Okay, so aside from that, I will be back on Thursday at 5 with Manifest Your Spiritual Business. Any questions, my mum, if you want to message her about her mediumship thing.
And if there's anything that you would like us to discuss in these live at 5s on Tuesday, we're more than happy to have a frank discussion and give you our views.
Yeah, leave it in the comments below, and we will most likely talk about it, because we like to have a conversation here. It's lots of fun. I'm losing my shit now, so
she's tired.
I'm tired, so I'm gonna go. Yeah, obviously reach out to us if you've got any questions about what we've just mentioned. Yeah, watch it back, Natasha. Right, lots of love and see you soon.
Okay, bye bye.